Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Honda Civic 1.8 EX, registered WK57WOM. Mileage at the start of the road test is 60,645 miles. The reason we do the road test is basically so people who have seen the cars in our adverts online actually get to see the very vehicle in operation. That way, if there's any obvious issues, we can relay them back to you immediately. Road test is also done on the same quiet country roads any prospective buyer would go on, so hopefully be representative of what you'd feel yourself if offered a test drive on the car. We're very lucky indeed to be in this part of Gloucestershire. It's very quiet here, but also it's literally just a couple of minutes from the M5 motorway, which gives us great access. So coming to the car itself, the engine, as is always the case with these 1.8s, starts absolutely instantly. It settles to completely smooth, even idle, and is such a willing, sweet engine to use. It's docile around town, it picks up really quickly, even from the lowest revs, it never complains, and it just sings round the red line if you really want to push it. But it's a typical Honda engine. It's absolutely fantastic to use, and then not only are they reliable, rugged, long lasting, but they're also, as I said, joyful to use. There's no warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the vehicle, and temperature gauge is running at a third, which is exactly where it should be on the Honda car, and this car's been running for well over half an hour now. Engine then feeds through clutch and into gearbox. Clutch on the car, smooth, positive in actuation, and the bite point is exactly where it's meant to be on the car. Clutch then goes into the 6-speed gearbox, which I've always gone on about on these videos, so I do apologise. I love the gearbox. As is always the case, or pretty much always the case with most front-wheel drive cars these days, gear lever here is actually attached to the gearbox underneath by cables, not by levers or anything. That unfortunately means that some manufacturers end up giving you a kind of a lifeless, vague gear change. This gearbox is wonderful. It positively encourages you to change gear. It's slick, it's precise, it's short in throw, it's got a wonderful action to it. It's an action that, you know, an engineering company has wanted to give you feel on the gearbox, and they've done a brilliant job on it as always, and I can't detect anywhere in the gear linkage at all. It feels absolutely superb. So in terms of the powertrain of the vehicle, all in very, very fine order. I do apologise if this video is a bit dark. It's 9:45 in the morning, but it's a grim old day today, so I'm under pressure to get as many done as I possibly can. Steering of the vehicle, which is a massive strong point on these, they are so positive, quick to react. There's no it tracks absolutely dead straight. There's no vibrations at all come back through the steering wheel of the vehicle at this speed, or any speed up to the legal limit of the vehicle. But it just feels so tight and crisp in hand. Again, just can't detect any wear through it at all. And it matches the chassis perfectly, because the chassis is so dynamic. It really is. Basically just hardly touch the steering, goes, car goes with it. It's just a brilliant, brilliant chassis. On the straight ahead here, rides really comfortably, far better than any motor magazine actually says. It's only sharper ridges that catch them out, as they do pretty much any car. But ride comfort is subjective in my opinion. I prefer a car that's tighter, keen to change direction, and doesn't loll up about through corners, which I hate. But what I'm looking for on these road tests is any noises coming from underneath the chassis that shouldn't actually be there. And it's normally just sort of light chattering you get from, you know, a few suspension components, but there's absolutely nothing on this car. It tracks beautifully. It also, as I'm just doing there, brakes really positively as well. There's no pulling left or right when you hit the brakes, and there's no juddering or vibrations at all. I've just been through the workshops. It's just been through the workshops rather, and the brakes were in very good order. Looking around inside the vehicle, Not been valeted yet, but you'd never believe it because it's absolutely fantastic in here. So just checking the cruise control, that's all working perfectly. There's not a buzz, a squeak, a rattle from the interior. Really nicely put together dashboards, but I love this. I absolutely adore this dashboard. It's, you know, most cars of this type or class will just have a normal instrumentation there, center stack there, and there'll just be variations on exactly the same thing. This couldn't be anything other than a Civic, and I love it for that, and I applaud them for it. That isn't to say it's to everybody's tastes, and I'm actually glad it doesn't, you know, because that means it's kind of a very really good design. But it just works brilliantly as well as looks fantastic. Sat nav is really high up on the dashboard, crystal clear, easy to see, working perfectly. All the switch gear, lovely high quality actuation, and then directly in front of me, my favourite part of this dashboard, this two-tier design. High up display for your MPH, plus a little rev warning thing and an econometer. But basically I can look at that lorry coming in the distance, but look at my speed at the corner of my eye without taking my eyes off the road for a millisecond. It's just genius. Down below that you've got this really lovely little pod with this kind of floating dials, almost like a hologram effect, with a huge rev counter and an information display in the middle of it, and then temperature gauges and fuel gauges on either side. But it's just such a breath of fresh air. Even, I mean, crikey me, the first of these cars came out about 13 years ago and they still look fresh. They really, really do. And as nerdy as it sounds, at night when it's all illuminated, it looks absolutely fantastic. It really does. As I said at the start of the video, the point of them is actually to pick up on any issues that might be on the car. But given the service history of this vehicle and the way it's been maintained, it comes as no surprise to say it drives sensationally well. And both myself and Tony, my business partner, we used to work for the Bristol Honda dealership. So we know Honda cars inside out. So if it wasn't driving right, we would know about it straight away. But this drives as well as any Civic I've ever driven. It just feels really tight and taut to drive. Having said that, if I've missed something on the video, please do give us a call.